Yo.
Yeah.
You good?
Mic situation straight. No, not really. All right. There we go.
All right. So first shout out, man. Thank y'all, man. Like, comment, subscribe. We thank y'all. We thank y'all for the other video. You also exceeded the expectation on the likes.
Yes, thank you guys. Truly appreciate you so much.
And I said, if y'all do so many likes, I would do the part 2 where they're asking him questions. And so we're going to do that part 2. And I'm curious to hear what his response will be. These questions really will determine his genuineness, because people gonna ask him questions that aren't on your planned paperwork. So let's hear what I want to hear what they asking.
Well, he has a lot of detailed, specific information for him to be fabricating this.
I mean, yeah, but listen, we gonna truly know once he start asking questions. That's when you know.
And
answer a question, yeah.
Who's got a question? Yes, sir.
Mr. Sinclair, could you explain why, if this incident happened in 1999, you waited until 2007 or 2008 to come forward? It's a question of credibility, sir.
That's
why did
right.
you come forward back in 1999 or 2000?
Well, number one, in 1999, I really didn't care whether he was a senator from Illinois or not. To be honest with you, I was a resident
why
of
you
Illinois.
care now?
As far as why now, I was living in Mexico up until 2006.
Okay.
It really was of no interest to me. I know plenty of politicians, both locally and internationally, that are pretty much crooked.
I'm gonna say this: I'm not a fan of Obama, but I will say I don't like when people do that. They're coming now. This person has some kind of status now. I want to come out here because that make you look real phony.
Mm-hmm.
The whole issue was based on his drug use and his claim that he had not used drugs since his college days, and that was the whole issue that brought this forward.
But what do you care?
I still don't get it.
Why do you care?
Are you receiving any financial support for your efforts from anyone? And if so, do any of those people have connections to the Republican Party?
I'm glad you asked that question. Number one, I am not connected with any party, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, Democratic, none. Nor are anybody that are contributing to the cost and the expense of this. Every penny that has gone to pay for this press conference, my travel expenses, have come from average American citizens. Most of them actually, according to their own statements, are declared independents, in the sums of from $12.31 to $100.
Question, yes, sir.
Mr. Sinclair, could you explain why, if this incident happened in 1999, you waited until 2007 or 2008 to come forward? It's a question of credibility.
I feel like it went
As
back.
far as why now,
He did.
I was living in Mexico up until with any party from $12.31 to $100 each.
David Hutchins, American News Project. What is Veritas Federal Media, and what role do they have in renting this venue and the camera crew in back?
The media company you just requested, what is it? It's exactly what I just answered this gentleman. It represents every individual person. It's not a company, in all honesty. It was established as an email address when I arrived here for the Democratic National Committee's bylaws and rules and bylaws. Okay, I did. Okay, it's not a company. It is nothing more than a name to represent all of the individuals across this country that have helped get this story out.
Would you be willing to share your mental health records with the public?
Actually, I'm going to post later this afternoon a list of all of my doctors, going back through all of my medical records that are available through 1999. Anyone with valid, legitimate press credentials that wants to check my mental health history, I will be more than willing to sign an authorized medical release for that purpose.
Will we get more than 30 minutes?
Huh?
More than 30 minutes?
More than 30 minutes of what?
With the document.
Well, actually, if you're valid press and you want me to release my psychiatric records, I'll release them to you as long as you pay for them. I have nothing to hide.
Well, it was a joke. It was about McCain and the 30-minute.
Oh, sorry. You can tell where I'm at today.
Yes, Mr. Sinclair.
Okay, so not only are you finding out that he has some mental, well, we don't know if it's mental health
No, he said
issues.
you could check his records.
Yeah.
He said his records were fine.
We don't know if that was for counseling, for therapy, or what the records entail, but it's something that inquiring minds want to know because they've asked about it, which could play into all of this coming out 2007-8 compared to when it happened in 1999.
But now I realize it. Now I realize what it is. So what happened between him and Obama was real. But what happened, the reason why he's coming out with it is because he came out with it back then when right before Obama became president. It's because it was for fame and money. Because if Obama had not have been run for president, he would have never put that out there that he had relations with him. So it was the fame and the money part of it. That's what he's not saying. And I'm sure he's not going to say, but it's about the fame and money. But I do fully believe that's what he did with Obama.
Yeah.
Will you state whether you had sexual relations with any other politicians here today?
Actually,
your name has come out with Senator Larry Craig.
For the record, I have not been engaged or involved with any other politician. In fact, at the time that I met Senator Obama, I had no idea that he was actually in Illinois politics.
I believe that.
Behind you.
Change your name so often?
Well, first of all, in my younger years, I was considered wild. And it was more out of respect to my family because, as you can see, with everyone putting my past history all over the place and mistorting it, I changed my name. The first 2 times I changed my name was while serving prison sentences in Florence, Arizona.
You said that he was introduced to you by name. You didn't know he was an Illinois politician. And why would he be introduced by his true name to you and you would know that he was a politician over the years? How did you realize that it was him? I mean, because if he's going to engage in sex and drug taking and he's a renowned politician in Chicago, it strikes me as a little bit strange that they give you his real name through a limo driver. I mean, that story doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And how would you remember for 10 years when you lived away and then recognize him on TV or how?
Okay, first of all, yes, he was introduced to me by name, okay? He was introduced to me as Barack Obama. And as far as me not knowing that he was a politician locally, I was not a resident of Illinois. When I became aware of exactly who he was when he gave the keynote speech at the Democratic National Convention in 2004 while I was living in Mexico watching it on Sky TV.
So that makes sense.
Okay, that does make sense.
If you're not living in the state,
you don't know who that is.
Why would you really be concerned with other politicians in another state, local politicians, unless it's your major, presidential politicians?
Exactly.
That's when you become more familiar of these people who were other politicians and had other roles in other states.
Yes.
But if they're not running for president, vice president, secretary of state, and these other big time, roles, then, or unless you lived in the state.
Yeah.
So, of course, Georgia, we know who those people are because we lived there. And now in California, we're learning who these people are. But Florida, he's running for office.
I wouldn't
president.
have a clue.
We would have never known who DeSantis was if he wasn't running for president. So, I mean, I can see where he's saying he didn't. Why would he be concerned with what goes on?
That makes sense.
It
makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I did not say that. I told you he was, in fact, introduced to me by name. I have always stated that he was introduced to me as Barack Obama by the driver and by Barack Obama himself, sir. Always.
Hey, Larry, how much did this whole event cost you? And what are you doing now for a living?
Good question.
Well, as far as anybody wanting to know the final expenses, I would have to check because I've had a few things changed in the last 24 hours. But as of Monday morning, I think it came to a total of $4,126.89.
Wow.
And what I do for a living, I am disabled permanently. due to severe nerve damage and spinal injuries. And believe me, it's killing me standing up here this long, but I'll take the question anyway.
Wow. So financially, he might need some cash.
He needs some money. And that's why I'm saying, that's why that man, even though this video surfaced 11 years ago, but it probably goes back further than that. That's why the man did out, and because he's on hard times. He did what he did with Obama. Now I know that I can expose this man, and then I get book deals. I can get all this stuff, because that's why if you go looking, and I said this on the first video, if you go look and search that book everywhere, it is no less than $920. Every blue moon,
I thought you said it was 500.
No, correction, $920. I saw one for $856, but it was $926. So you can't tell me who's getting that money. If he supposedly is supposed to be dead, who getting his money? Because it looked like that man because you got to think 10 people by the book, that's 10,000. You right at $10,000. So I don't know. It's a money thing. Plus, he a con man. Plus, he did what he did with Obama. I'm telling you, it's just it's making sense.
You, but this was absolutely the wrong way to go about it, And when I still, but I guess if it's the money would be the motive, then that would be why. Because after all that time, what difference does it make about him lying about his drug?
Correct.
Usage or whatever. I mean,
yes.
By the mere fact of him, people knowing that he was on drugs or he had done something in regards to that, being more specific about it and all the other stuff, why come out with it then? But as we see,
in the end, by
it
the
seems
time
like money is a motive.
The money is the motive. That's what it is.
And that's probably what I got asked the question, like, what are you doing now?
Jim Malone with Voice of America. Given your criminal record, the fact that the crimes that you've been involved in involve deceit and fraud, why is it that you think that anyone would believe what you're saying now?
Exactly, that was one.
Well, to be honest with you, it's not so much whether you believe me or not as much as you hear me. Okay? I mean, it's not my intention to convince you. First of all, I'm not going to defend my lifestyle for the last 46 years. I've made mistakes. But I've always admitted to anything I've done, including these crimes. Okay? I can't tell you why to believe me other than the fact, I'm not saying believe me. I'm saying, you know what, here's the information. Look at it, do your own research, but do it based on the facts. Stop doing it based on this constant misinformation and misrepresentation that's been circulating on the internet. I'm going to give you everything in writing, and you make your own decision.
What time did you meet him on November 6th, and what time did he arrive at your hotel in Gurnee the day following?
We met in the early evening on November 6th. As far as a specific time on November 7th, I cannot provide that to you. And I know where that question's coming from, but I cannot provide that to you.
You know where it's coming from?
Thank you.
What does that mean? Coming from? What does that mean?
How, when, and where did you incur this permanent disabling nerve and spinal injury?
Sacramento, California. Injuries from October of 2000 through August of 2001 while employed with B&G Delivery Systems on Harris Avenue in Sacramento, California.
And what is your source of income now? Is that
my source of income?
Disability.
My source of income is disability, Social Security disability.
He said
that's your sole source of income.
That is.
That's what he said.
Plus this money I'm about to get now from doing it.
We all recall the claims and counterclaims and what happened with the Clinton allegations vis-a-vis Monica Lewinsky. Can you offer any physical evidence, any identifying physical features, and so on that can support your claims?
I have already announced that I would identify certain physical features, but I will not do it at this time. It will be posted later at the advice of my attorney after we've discussed the specifics.
One quick one, and then one slightly longer one. Did you save any of the text messages?
The text messages, I've contacted Sprint Nextel, and the changing of the phone numbers, they actually have the procedures that they can recover the text messages from those numbers, but they do not stay on the phone when the numbers are changed.
And then when you were discussing the results of your polygraph, you first impugned the veracity of the test by saying that it was, quote, junk science. But then a few moments later, you said you scored very well in one respect. So it's unclear whether or not you actually are staking some of your claims on the polygraph.
No, actually, as far as I'm concerned about the polygraph, I'm not saying that it's good or it's bad. I am saying from the day that it was done and the day after, once I returned home, I was asked questions about the procedure and the process. And I had had a polygraph done once before, back in the 80s. And I specifically instructed the examiner, I knew darn well you didn't put the blood pressure cup and whatever on the fingertips on the same hands. And he was advised of the nerve damage and the fact of the circulation, and I have bilateral ulnar nerve entrapment in both arms. All right, I can't tell you how they did it. I will tell you that his report from Dr. Gelb to the report to Dr. Bartlett completely contradict each other. The information from Dr. Gelb, who is not a doctor at all, was never sent in totality to Mr. Bartlett. I cannot tell you. I'm telling you that this gentleman with antipolygraph.org, these are his opinions, these are his findings, these are not mine. Okay. I have said all along that the polygraph, I did not feel comfortable with the way it was done.
But why do they care about
Got a couple
polygraph
of questions.
tests when they're not even admissible?
I mean,
So
maybe,
what is the point?
when did they stop being admissible? Did that just recently change to what they weren't? They're not admissible
I
anymore?
thought that they weren't very reputable.
Yeah.
So they weren't. He even mentioned that in the first part. He said that's why they aren't used. So why even take them then? What's the point of it?
True.
First of all, given that you've got this record in the past of taking so many drugs yourself, why do you care whether he's taken it?
Right.
And
Yeah.
secondly, he seems like quite an interesting person to spend a couple of days with. Between the fellatio and the drug taking, what did you talk about?
I'm sorry?
Between the fellatio and the drug taking, what did you chat about?
Actually, pretty much nothing, other than the fact of what I was doing for a living, what I was doing in Chicago. Like I said, the entire conversations that we had were pretty basic and casual. His comments as far as what he did for a living, he never once acknowledged being a politician. In fact, he specifically stated he was in public service. You know, with my view, public service can mean just about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Yeah. Because he wasn't trying
Public
to be
service,
personal.
you could have worked for the city.
If he was having small talk, I really don't care about what you got going on in your life. I just want whatever we doing right here to be my thrill for this moment, and afterwards, then
So did Obama? So my question is, was he paying him? He was paying him for that little time.
I guess I don't know if he mentioned that.
Because there was something about money, but he said it made it seem like he stepped away and gave Obama $250, but it wasn't. Or maybe I got it confused. Maybe he stepped away with $250 because Obama paid for.
Yeah, but
sex
we know.
working.
Well, I know he paid for the drugs. It was stated that he said that Obama had paid for the drugs. So I guess I don't remember him saying that Obama paid for any sexual activity.
I just know $250 was given to
For-
somebody, to
right,
Obama.
For the
That's the part that.
I know it was paid for. He got the drugs. He had the connection. He got the drugs.
Right.
What was the other part of the question?
Why do you care so much whether you
Why do I care? I care so much because this political season has turned, this country upside down. To be honest with you, we have gone back, I would say, a good 50 years in this country on race relations alone over being called racist if you ask a candidate who chose to run for president. I'm not sure if you remember, but this country had a very nice lady in the state of New York by the name of Shirley Chisholm that once sought the nomination of the Democratic Party. And this was back, I think, in the late 60s, early 70s. And here was a true African American who you could ask her questions based on her record, on her credentials, on her beliefs, and you would have never been called racist. Today, I'm speaking the truth about his own actions. These aren't mine. I'm not running for office. And now all of a sudden you're called racist or bigot? I'm sorry, that's why I care.
But
You
what
have to face the facts. Somebody's going to have to ask him, or are you going to wait until, the election's over and then start vetting your presidential candidates?
That has not. I don't see how that correlates.
Simply why you
I think certain things he's concocted a speech to give, but in the end, his whole point of coming out and saying this is just about money. We don't know how many other people probably Obama could have messed with men-wise, but it ain't coming out. I think this dude just hard up on cash.
Why? But the question was, why do you care about how he reports his drug usage? And your question based off how the country is churned and race relations, to me, doesn't have anything to do with
him.
The
and
question.
that's it. No, it's
Right.
I like I said, that's one of those things where you kind of he had that answer already planned on why he's doing all this, but he's doing it for the money. That's just
And the person that
he's
asked
trying
the
to give a
question,
patriotic response, but it's really just the money.
the person that asked the question should have told him, "That's not what I asked." Your
Well, we don't
response
know.
doesn't correlate to what I just asked.
Maybe he'll say it.
Let's see.
decided to take this on, and it's been reported that you've been disbarred in the state of Florida. I'm wondering if you're a part of the bar in D.C.
I'm happy to answer those questions as I expected they would come up. I have been suspended by the Florida Supreme Court on March 7th, 2008, and the suspension was a result of me being too litigious and allegedly not paying child support. That matter is now pending at the United States Supreme Court. But as a result, I have been reciprocally suspended by the District of Columbia Bar and the Federal District Court in the District of Columbia without an opportunity for a hearing or an opportunity to present my side of that story. There is on the website 147 pages which documents what's going on in my particular professional life, and it really isn't the subject of what's going on here today. But if you're curious, it's a good read, and I encourage you to read it.
Is it fair for me to inquire about the kilt also?
You certainly can. I know it may seem
he
odd
got
to
a
you,
kilt
but I don't
on?
know why men wear pants, but I think it's a function of male genitalia size, and if you're normal to small, pants probably aren't uncomfortable, but those of us at the other end of the spectrum find them very, very binding.
Well, what a way to put it. Oh my gosh. Well,
He said, just because your little pack will fit in them britches don't mean mine will fit in mine.
exactly. That's quite uncomfortable, and I like to let it hang.
Oh my God.
How about that?
He said, you got little ones just because your little ones so.
Ooh, it's tight, and I ain't even trying to impress y'all.
Yo,
okay?
I was not expecting him to say that.
I'm gonna be comfortable. Me either.
That was so out of the blue. Yo.
Whoa.
Excuse me, can I say something on your question to the kilt? Actually, I asked him to wear a suit and tie, and he says, why should he be uncomfortable? And I said, because you're paid to be uncomfortable. Look at me.
A little more seriously, though. It's just, at a very human level here, it's obviously you have tremendous credibility problems, including fraud and deceit. There are questions about you. It's very hard, I think, for probably some of us in the audience to take this whole situation seriously. So the question again is, why are you doing this, and how can you expect us to take this seriously?
I'm glad you asked that, and I'm going to tell you how I expect you to take it seriously. I expect you to ask me questions, and I expect you to do your job and actually find facts as opposed to looking at Daily Kos or Fire Dog Lake or Huffington Post or all of these pro-Obama sites that are putting and twisting. Sir, I have not hidden from anything I have ever done in my life. Never. You can go back to the judges in any one of my cases, and they will tell you I have never wasted a taxpayer dime on a trial or even a preliminary hearing. If I did it and I got caught, I said I did it. Okay? And I understand you asking about my credibility. You know what? My crimes were 20 some odd years ago, with the exception of the alleged crime in 2001, which I have not ran from, even though I'm being portrayed as hiding and running. I'm not. Okay? That's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to actually get facts and then make your decision, rather than fake Washington Post articles saying that I've been investigated 8 times over 25 years for blackmail against politicians, which is not true, but yet you're continuing to repeat it over and over again. Even though it's been proven not to be true, it doesn't matter. It's what is continuously being recycled out there. As long as you tell the truth, which I'm doing, you can talk about anything about my past that you want to. It doesn't bother me.
So that just really confirmed to me that everything he's saying, he's the truth. But the reason why he's doing it is not because, like I said again, it's not because of the times we're in. It's because of money. But what he's saying is the truth, but the money. And the reason why I believe that Obama or nobody from his camp pull his videos, cut it down, because the credibility of the character. And so they don't buy him credible, so they don't feel like nobody's going to pay attention to anything this man talking about in real life.
And maybe that there is very minimal proof that they can find because they can't find the people, the records. You know, did they ever find the records from Sprint and Nextel? Is that stuff out there? Did it ever become public documents?
Let's be real. You know that stuff got hey, phone call came in. Hey, delete this information.
Yeah. So if there's no proof, all the more reason why it's very questionable. But yes, your character is very important.
Right.
Admit to it. You know, you can't live your life and then run and hide from it later. It doesn't work that way.
Well, you say this, you want us to get facts, but most of what you're alleging is difficult to corroborate. I mean, would the limo driver have witnessed the crack smoking and the fellatio, or were you and Obama the only people?
Mr. Mutani actually does have personal knowledge of the actions and the transactions that took place in the limo. Let me explain something to you. I was actually in contact with Mr. Mutani in the first part of this year. Since posting the YouTube video and the vicious attacks on the internet and the allegations that are constantly circulating out there that nobody bothered to fact check before they continue to post them, this driver has decided, and his family's decided, it's like all of a sudden they want to, disappear. It's my understanding that Mr. Mutani's family was in Tupelo, Mississippi, as recently as 3 weeks ago. I do know that there were public records at one time, and where those public records have disappeared in a couple of weeks because we had a private investigator down there actually going through public records that were verified just 2 months ago, and now all of a sudden they're not there.
Well, that's his fault, because that's your fault. If something's there when you looked and then you wait and go back and then the Obama administration pulled it, that's your fault. You would have had the stuff. You probably should have got all the records and copies of it when it was available.
So he's trying to corroborate his story, but yet he has not told why he cares, why he's doing this.
He said it. He said it's because America and the racial divide.
I know that, but that's still not answering the question.
Yeah.
What's that got to do with what he's saying? How does that correlate?
He making it come out like he come out to be a patriot. He make it sound like a patriot.
Obama didn't say anything race related specifically to him.
No, but he talked about the kind of country has gotten since a black man was in office, how the racial divide really kicked in. Please, it's every man for himself in life for the most part. So you're not worried about the country. He's still trying to get paid. But like I said, the experience he had with Obama was 100% true. I'm sorry, let me not say 100% true. I wasn't there, but based on how he tells the story, sounds very believable and doesn't sound fabricated.
I have a few questions. One, would you make all of your financial records available to the public and to reporters? I mean, I guess a lot of us probably feel suspicious of the way you finance a National Press Club event, the way you pay for a private investigator to go to Tupelo, Mississippi.
I have no problem with that whatsoever in posting my financial records.
And a follow-up question. The Veritas Media Group, I understand that Joseph Giganti has disclaimed any connection.
Okay.
But it seems awfully odd that he would be, the spokesperson for Alan Keyes, political campaign, that your organization would be called Veritas. It sounds awfully like a red herring, or what are your comments on that?
The name was just, to my knowledge, the name was just drawn out of a hat. This is not something that was done. First of all, Mr. Yadante, as far as I know, has no connections with me. I've never met the man. I've never had any communications with him whatsoever. And he definitely does not finance me. And he has not financed this event. Okay. In fact, this event has been financed completely through contributions to PayPal, and I will most definitely post those contributions without the giver's name, of course.
Why don't you give her name?
Because would you ask me to expose individual citizens of this country that contribute $25 here or $50 there? I mean, the maximum contribution that's been, there's been one contribution of $1,000, and everything else is $500 or below. There's been one contribution of $1,000, and everything else is $500 or below. In fact, 99.9% of it, I would say, is $100 or below.
I understand you have a terminal brain tumor. Can you tell us what kind, in what lobe, and how that might affect your mental health?
I will release my medical records when someone asks for a signed release. My tumor has been diagnosed, it has been confirmed, it has been verified by the Chicago Tribune, and I will not discuss my medical history at this point other than saying that there will be a list of my doctors up on larrysinclair.org later this afternoon, and anyone interested in contacting those doctors for medical records can do so at your own expense. And I will release them.
I have a question. Are you alleging that Senator Barack Obama has something to do with the murder or death of the gentleman you were talking about from his church?
Mr. Young?
Yes.
It's my belief that that's exactly what has transpired, and that's why I have contacted the Chicago Police Department. It's also why I provided Detective Robert McVickers with the information that he specifically requested. And yes, that's exactly what I'm alleging. I am definitely alleging that it is my belief, okay, that Barack Obama and Jeremiah Wright either knew who or had the person that killed Donald Young killed. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And sir, I'm wondering if you could remind me which records you would like to have released by the Obama campaign. It sounded like the list was rather extensive and it spanned a number of years.
Well, no, actually, the only thing we asked him to do was authorize the release of his cell phone records from November 3rd to November 8th of 1999, and we would actually go for those records and obtain them if he granted permission. The other records, I believe the only thing we're asking for is his email account records and cell phone records from, September 2007 through December 23rd of 2007. And
because I'm assuming that between that period of time, it must have been when he went and wiped stuff away, conversations.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So in order to have the transactions of, I guess, their communication, the records are required.
Yes.
Wow.
And January 18th through February 29th of this year.
Pardon, it's interesting. Wouldn't the right love to comb through those records, I'm sure, to see what they could find, even if it's completely unrelated to what you are saying here today?
Well, first of all, I don't know who's referring to the right or the left, because I'm kind of like, I'm one of those middle kind of people. I don't tend to fluctuate on either side. And as far as combing through those records, we've asked those records to be authorized to be released to us in a federal civil case. And I have no intentions of disclosing his personal records. I mean, want to subpoena them for evidence purposes, nothing else.
So he's not trying to expose them.
Sir, yes. I'm sorry if I missed the answer to this earlier. Who is paying your fees?
On Larry's website, there's a PayPal button to donate to his legal fund, which is me. And like Larry's other PayPal account, I've gotten maybe $5,000, nothing over $500, and most of them, like Larry's, are small ones. And we got a few checks in the mail, but nothing over $100.
Exactly.
Are you in negotiations to write a book or any other paid media?
Sir, and let me make this clear for everyone.
There you
I am
go.
not negotiating with anyone for any selling of stories, book publications of any kind, paid media appearances of any kind. What I want the media to do is to take the story, understand it, get the facts straight from me as opposed to the internet, and you make your decision whether or not it's something that the American voter needs to be informed of.
But now there's a book out, and the daggone book right at $1,000 for the book. So
Whew. I wonder if people bought it. Who would spend that?
I want to know who spent $1,000 on it.
Ooh.
You do that, I'm done. Okay? I have not attempted to make any money from this. I don't want any money from this. I don't even want any notoriety from this. I want people to, I really want you to let this guy ask a question. Okay.
I had a few questions. First of all, you said that you became aware when Obama gave his speech at the Democratic Convention. Why didn't you keep your cell phone records with when Mr. Young called you? Like, were you billed for the cell phones?
Actually, the cell phone records, you need to understand something. My cell phone numbers at that time, and in fact, my cell phone currently, is through a division of Sprint Nextel called Boost. Those records are available to me online for a 45-day period. Now, they do have the records, and they actually have confirmed that, and I've agreed to have them, I've turned them over to Chicago Police Department and actually authorized their release to them, which they don't need me to authorize. I have personally contacted Sprint Nextel approximately 2 weeks ago, asking that they dig up the records off of their system for each of those phone numbers from those periods and provide them to us. And I was instructed to make that request over a web form on the Sprint website. And if anyone here has Sprint or Sprint Nextel, you will know that Sprint is probably the worst cell phone provider company to deal with. But I will be getting them, and like I said, they have confirmed that those records are available.
Are you going to post those on your website as well?
I will.
And
Is that
Did he ever get them?
Is the website still available?
Did he ever get them?
Is the website still live?
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea.
I mean, do you have the names of your best friend that you were visiting in Chicago? Has he testified or just said on the record that, yes, he was in town in Chicago because of my son?
I will tell you this, John Crutzen from the Chicago Tribune should be able to confirm that that's been verified. I will not release my godson's name. Not with the attacks that have been leveled against my family and my childhood friends in South Carolina. I'm not about to let these people do that to him. I will tell you the last name is Dukes. That's all I will tell you. D-U-K-E-S.
All right, and last question, in your first YouTube video, you did say that the events took place between November 3rd and November 8th. And now you said that they started on November 6th.
No. What I said was that I was in Chicago from November 3rd to November 8th. And see, this is another incident of misrepresenting, people twisting it. My statement was, while in Chicago, between November 3rd and November 8th of 1999. Okay? I've always stated as far as dates, it would be November 6th and November 7th of 1999. Yeah.
Hello. This is a question for both of you. I just want to know, do either of you, what is your position on Barack Obama, whether or not he should be president, and how do these allegations inform your decision?
That's between me. That's between me and the voting booth. So I'll let Larry answer that.
As far as me, I've always been straight up, and I said I've never told anyone not to vote for the man. In fact, I personally thought that he was somewhat charismatic, But my whole thing is I don't prefer either one of the three, honestly.
Hey, listen here, man. This man is telling the truth. He care less. He even telling you can go and vote for him. But I just want to let it be known about my experience, personally, I had with him.
And I need your papers.
And I need your
Pay
papers.
me for the information.
And this man telling the truth, and he need money. That's why. If he didn't need money, he wouldn't be coming and telling about the situation that happened.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm. If he didn't need that bread, he would have just been like, it would have been a thing talked about to other people. Somebody would have one day eventually wanted to interview him on it. but he wouldn't have needed the money.
Senator Barack Obama is a charismatic person. Did you fall in love with him when you had sex with him
See, that's
in
my thing.
1999? And secondly, what are your feelings today? What are your feelings?
Okay, first, no ma'am, I did not fall in love with Barack Obama.
Because, see, that's what I thought the motive was at first. Being spiteful, okay, they had a thing he called feelings.
No.
And, you know, okay, and you didn't acknowledge me, and now you're running for president. Oh, okay, and you didn't come clean about this. I'm going to just go ahead and put you on blast because he still had hurt. That's what I thought, but it don't seem like it.
Nope.
But it's a good question because people have made that allegation. No ma'am. And Barack Obama is only charismatic, you know, by being molded that way. All right. Once you take the teleprompters and the lights out from in front of him, you get a whole different person. And as far as my feelings now, those are my feelings. I think you're looking at someone that is completely fake, plastic, that has been made up and put out in front of the American voter, and that's been allowed to walk away from any serious questions about any of his own personal actions.
And so there you go. He really wants you to see him for
who he is.
Right, the
And
man
I need some
behind the
money.
mask.
Yeah.
So is that what the chef saw? Is that who the chef knew? Is that who the chef knew and was about to expose and got
What
eliminated?
What if?
What if? Because as sad as it is, I really believe what he's saying.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it like the guy was in the very beginning was saying. You know, it really makes us hard to believe this because of your, you know, character issues and
Correct.
flaws. Even
Correct.
though you have paid debt for your crimes, you turned over a new leaf.
Yeah.
But yet, and still, these issues when it comes to fraud and all that kind of stuff, it make doing the type of crimes that he had,
Yeah.
it makes people question,
Correct.
why are you doing it now?
Correct.
And that's what they were. And now I see what they were asking: how you making your money? What you do for a living? Is that all you do?
Right.
You know.
That's what I think. Well, ma'am, nothing personal. Okay. So I'm going to, now I'm going to have to, and don't take this in a disrespectful manner, but let me ask you this. In your entire lifetime, you've never had a one-night stand? I mean, I'm sorry, but, let's deal with reality here. Let's not act like, people go around and fall in love. I mean, that's the biblical way, but it doesn't happen.
This man telling the truth.
You were in touch with the limo driver. Can you detail that contact? And did you save those phone records?
I was in touch with the limo driver, and the contact was basically letting know that I had made public allegations on YouTube after having notified a reporter with the New York Post, who the Post had decided that it was just a little too hot for them to run with at the time. I was informed that if, in fact, the story broke and this individual felt that there was enough media coverage where he was safe, then he, in fact, would come out and corroborate those statements. It was just a little too hot for them to run with at the time. I was informed that if, in fact, the story broke and this individual felt that there was enough media coverage.
The video has a couple spots where when they were editing, they kind of matrix mode. You remember? Was that Deja Vu? Did you see? How many cats did you see?
Right.
Where he was safe, then he, in fact, would come out and corroborate those statements. That's all I can tell you.
What are you really up to? What kind of justice do you seek? And I think it's too early to impeach the president.
Well, let me ask you this. You say it's too early to impeach the president, so you've already elected him. I thought that was the whole process of having an election in this country, of the candidate actually being vetted before the American public. Nothing personal, and believe me, this is not personal between me and Barack Obama. The only part of this that has become personal between me and the Obama campaign is the organized and orchestrated attacks against me and my family on the internet. That's the only personal part. Outside of that, these are true statements. My thing is, what you just said, I think you want to ask your next president to be truthful with you and not put up a book that he claims, oh, I was a street kid who found my way later. But later is not quite 1999. That's all I asked him to do originally, was just admit that his drug use was still current as of 99, okay?
Claire, you said you first came to Washington with the Democratic National Committee Rules Committee session. Is that correct?
Well, I originally came to D.C. the first time, I think was May 28th was my arrival. That's correct.
Right. At that time, did you have any contact with anyone from the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Are you referring to anyone that's official with the campaign or someone who
Official
supports?
or
Okay.
official or unofficial?
I've had no contact, to the best of my knowledge, with anyone that represents the Clinton campaign or any other campaign. As far as speaking with people who adamantly support Hillary Clinton, yes, I'm sure I've spoke to quite a few of them on that day.
So you're saying, to the best of your knowledge, you don't know if you spoke
To the best of my knowledge, I do not know
but there
if
is a
I...
possibility that you could have.
What I'm telling you, sir, is I'm not going to stand here and tell you that I didn't speak to someone, because I may have spoken to one lady that, represented themselves to be one thing, and that's catch-22, and I'm not going there.
I'll wind this up now with just a few more questions. So if anybody who has not asked a question wants to ask one first, we want to give them an opportunity.
Montgomery.
And then
This lady in the black.
Can you tell us why you think that Obama and Wright are somewhat involved in the murder of the choir master?
My entire opinion of that matter is based on phone conversations with the gentleman identified to me as Mr. Young. This person made it very clear that they were personally and intimately involved with Barack Obama. The first contact that was ever made between me and that person initiated to my cell phone number, which was only left with the Obama campaign. And this person specifically made the statements that he was discussing Obama was discussing with him and his pastor on how to best deal with that situation. And then he ends up dead on December 23rd. That's how I'm saying it.
Ooh, that's...
And if I didn't answer it clear enough, let me know and I'll go back.
So my question for him would be, knowing that that happened, why would you expect anything less for your life?
And why didn't you start doing your investigation and getting your records together then?
Yeah.
All the phone records and all that stuff, But I know he said he didn't think, he wasn't in that space of mind in 1999.
Yeah.
Later, as things started to come up and come out about them, whatever, not being honest about that, his usage or whatever, then all this time had passed.
Yeah.
But whenever the man was killed, that should have raised a red flag for you to start getting yourself in order.
And yeah, and how do you protect yourself on Social Security?
Exactly.
Just one last question. I'm sort of wondering if there's any truth to the rumors that you're at all associated or have been contacted by the Bilderberg group, but that's not my question. That's not my question. My question is, because I think we're all dying to know, especially Mr. Colbert. So, was he well hung?
Actually, I've referred to that. You know what? I'm going to answer the question the same way I always have. Barack Obama is a wannabe black man with the white boys, and that's where I'll leave it.
Well, there you have it, folks. Guess that's why he didn't give him a call back. He said it was a one-night stand. After that, I'm like, okay. He was like, well, don't need to call you back again. Man, this is just crazy.
Oh, we ain't finished yet.
Oh, I thought it was at the end.
Yes, ma'am.
How was Donald Young murdered?
Donald Young was actually shot execution style to the best of my knowledge. However, it's my understanding from discussions with the Chicago Police Department as well as from media accounts is that there was no forced entry. The door was closed. And I've always said that I believe Donald Young's murder was actually made to look like a copycat from a murder that was approximately 1 month earlier.
Yes, I also read that there were 3 murders, gay murders. They all 3 were connected to Barack Obama's church.
I know of a second individual that was murdered who was in fact indeed a member of the choir. As far as the details to that one, I can't really go into it because I'm not that familiar with it. I do know that a Larry, I think the name is Larry Bland, was murdered in November or late October, early November or something. And like I said, I believe that that was the murder that was used as a copycat to kill Donald Young.
Nate Spencer that was shot execution style, and then just recently there was an article that came out that Nate died of an illness. But then I saw on his best friend's blog that it was an executed murder.
Okay, and that's why what I have done on my blog, and I understand where you're coming from with this because I've been inundated with these questions and people have made allegations, and I've tried to keep it simple. I cannot speak on Nate Spencer. I cannot speak on Larry Bland. I have asked everyone to actually get their facts correct before they post information regarding these individuals' deaths. I spoke on Donald Young's death because I'm familiar with exactly what happened, and I believe I know who had it happen.
In terms of sexual orientation, how do you identify gay, straight, bisexual?
Who, me? I've been gay all of my life. Unfortunately, for some people who don't understand the lifestyle, I mean, I'm not one of those people who argue the point, you're born that way or you change that way. I've always been gay.
I think we're going to end the questions at this point in time. And Mr. Sinclair is now going to leave the room. I'll be out in a minute or two. If people want to organize a follow-up questions, I'll entertain them and do that as best we can. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks, guys.
Wow. So even the person that's working with him, the lawyer, done got disbarred. So wait a minute.
Right, and I believe that. And they quit. They were like, no, you're not going to be. They're like, no, you're not going to be a lawyer anymore either by representing him because
right.
I
Child
believe this.
Support?
I believe right. This.
But
I'm gonna say this. I ain't selling race, but this business looking white man getting in trouble for child support. It just don't look right.
But he said something else too that was a little bit more severe. I have to go back and really and listen to that. But I was thinking, okay, well, maybe as a lawyer, I don't know what the code of ethics are.
Yeah.
But maybe it was a violation of the code of ethics. If you're on child support and you don't pay, then
for some reason
I just feel like that's still extremely harsh. But I don't know what the code of ethics are when it comes to professionals.
Hey, that man said I got
or a lawyer
killed with the wood there. The baby mamas want their rent. This a black man, right?
Oh my gosh! Stop it! But man.
Listen, yeah. So now I'm official that I'm convinced that it's the true situation. But the reason why it's not pressing anymore because so much time has passed. This was right before he became president. So years and years later, basically from the Obama administration, they probably care less about this because they probably nobody went crazy about this information because he probably think that everybody was going to go crazy about this information when this man tried to expose this years ago.
If he had a squeaky clean record,
that would have been different.
Or a few minor things, traffic stuff dealing with traffic like speeding tickets or parking tickets or what I'm saying, something like that still would be overlooked.
Yeah.
But when you have character credibility when it comes to crimes of fraud and check scams, people don't think you all the way real.
True.
And but my question is this: the people who were there in that press conference when the man came up dead, what did they think about that?
Good question.
Now, do they believe him? Because how happened that? And how was he killed?
They said, I heard he got hit by a car.
Wow.
Some people are still saying, oh, no, he's still alive. No. This man has disappeared. I got one person.
Or maybe he disappeared.
And one man talking about, well, I just talked to Larry on I talked to him on Instagram a couple years ago. I'm like, man, I don't know, man. It's keep being said that the man is no longer alive. He was running for senator. He was running for government in Florida in 2018, but nobody's seen him since.
He was running for what?
For some kind of office in Florida. It was. It shows a picture of him.
Why
saying
was
that.
he doing that to himself?
I don't know.
Well, I
That's-
guess because he knew a lot of corrupt politicians, he said. So
And
if
I'm a-
they can be a politician and be corrupt, why can't I? Because that wasn't his lifestyle anymore. He had turned over a new leaf. He was living a better life. He was making more positive choices. So he said.
My question is, I ain't trying. Hey, listen, ain't nothing attractive to me about a man. But I'm saying you could have got a better looking man. I'm just saying. But because that dude looked like he just he done been to the rib shack a couple times.
The man who was.
But I was that was years and years ago, 1999. This apparently this was 2007. That ain't that many years.
That's about 8 years.
Yeah,
21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's about 8 years.
Not to be like a big guy.
Well, I mean, but the one night stand.
He just don't look like Brock. He don't look like his kind of his man type. I don't know.
I don't know. When I
Just
saw
saying
his
that.
previous girlfriends, I was surprised considering how
the
Michelle looks.
Yeah.
I would have never, because she looks good. She takes care of herself. She looks well. Her hair's always, she herself being on point.
According to the people, they're gonna say you mean Big Mike.
Well, yeah, whatever. I'm just saying, when you see her and then you see them, it just didn't look like to me that they would have been his type.
I was thinking the other way around. Honestly, I thought Michelle wouldn't have been, or Big Mike or whatever. I wasn't his type, and the two Caucasian women I saw, or whatever their nationality was more of his type to me.
Okay. But once, like he said, I do believe the fact that what you see on camera ain't it when the lights go out. And I feel the same way about the current president. But we know, let's just be real. When people get off camera, they go back to their comfort self. They go back to how they normally move. And I can understand that.
Yeah.
If you're someone on camera and, in the public eye, you're going to be on your best behavior.
Correct.
You're going to do your job or whatever that thing is that you do. You're going to do it and get off camera, especially people who are in office, who have these roles that they are supposed to be working for the people.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
This is some deep stuff. And it's so funny that this clip is just
that was a glitch.
That was.
Mm-hmm.
Did the mamas get on it?
You silly.
They don't have this internet connection, do they?
But stop it. We in the Matrix.
No, but that was weird. I will say this is I'm surprised that the internet clip is still out there. I'm surprised it's still on the internet. That's how you know that Obama and them care less about this.
But it resurfaced probably because based off of what has transpired with
What's 11 years from now?
the chef.
11, so 2012.
12.
When did he do this conference? So I guess that's the question.
It looked like 7 or 8, 2007 or 8, because they were asking him if that was in 2000. If that was in 1999, why are you coming out now 2007, 2008 with the information?
True.
So I think it was like 2007, 2008.
Woo! All right, y'all. This is looks to be a factual level. I don't know about the murders and all that stuff. I ain't getting into that.
Yeah.
But
we don't know.
But the sexual encounter sounds.
And just the interaction, whatever that interaction was that he had with him, it sounded like to me that he knew him. It was the one night stand, and that was it. Later on, okay, he sees this. It resurfaced. He's watching it like, oh my gosh, that's such and such.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a senator. What?
Whoa.
A president? And he said this. And the man needed some cash. But oh well, we're only assuming here.
All right, like,
What you
comment,
guys
subscribe.
think? Yeah.
Don't take a nose out, but comment down in the section below if you want some more.
Love you guys, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell so every time we drop a video,
All right, y'all.
you will
Bye.
get it. See you on the next video.